Hello everyone, I'm Novi D. Ermak. I am a public senior high school teacher. I earned my Master of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management at St. Peter's College, Iligan City. I conducted this study with the notion in my mind that the advent of technology gives rise to generations Y and Z. These generations are known to grow up in an electronic field environment and in an increasingly online, socially networked world. So the one learning setting is no longer the preference as the learners have become more diverse and technologically inclined. With the increasing technological advancements in keeping up with the intellect of these generations, the teachers must equip the learners with relevant skills. This situation demands for a new breed of teachers, those possessing the characteristics that would correspond to these rapidly evolving teaching and learning parameters. Considering the preceding notions, this study identified the characteristics that mobilize the 21st century teachers to adopt the 21st century education. These characteristics involved basic profile, their perceptions on the 21st century academic situations in terms of learning environment, content of learning, process of learning, types of learners, spaces and dimensions of learning. It also involved traits that enable them to adapt to 21st century education landscape, such as personal attributes, competences, and their understanding and responses to certain 21st century academic situations. This study follows the system approach. It concentrates as to how the characteristics of these teachers influence their performance in the current classroom setting. As you can see in the figure, it illustrates the interactive and the interdependent nature of the variables of the study. To gather sufficient data to characterize the 21st century teachers, this study utilized the descriptive survey design through a 4-part modified survey questionnaire.
Now let us proceed to the key findings of the study. The data reveal that more than half or 60% of the respondents were millennials and that they were dominated by female and married teachers. The findings corresponded to Bialik and Fry in 2019, who pointed out that the youngest millennials had entered the workforce. The parameters for teaching and learning in the 21st century academic situations in terms of learning environment, content of learning, process of learning, the types of learning, and the spaces of dimensions of learning were considered in this study since it was believed that the changes in the academic situations could be characterized based on these parameters and that it was within these parameters that the 21st century teachers evolved. On the aspect of the parameters of the 21st century academic situations, the data revealed that the academic situations in the 21st century were tangibly within the parameter on the spaces and dimensions of learning, as indicated by the highest mean. This means that the teachers strongly affirm the presence of all the indicators in the said parameter, particularly the indicator learning is a lifelong process. Age is not a requirement or a hindrance. There is no age boundary in learning, as there is no boundary in acquiring knowledge. Learning is not only offered to the youngs, but also to the older ones. This preceding result concurred with the findings of Crick and Wilson, published in 2005, in the study Being a Learner, a Virtue for the 21st Century, which showed that lifelong learning was something in which one did for oneself, that no one else could do for one. It was a public and personal human activity rather than a private and individualistic. As to the characteristics of the teachers, in terms of their personal attributes, the data revealed that the teachers highly affirmed themselves as resourceful. This result aligned with McCrory in 2013, who held the belief that 21st century teacher had to be extremely resourceful, always mounting their repertoire of resources and teaching methods. And this means that teachers had to constantly keep up with the current technological trends, to work with other teachers for professional development, to seek out novel ideas and resources to make teaching and learning appealing to the learners. Other characteristics that were highly affirmed by the teachers included well-groomed and neat, practical, organized, holistic, innovative, collaborative, friendly, and of course, lifelong learners.
On the characteristics of the teachers as to their competences, they most perceive their social and personal competences, particularly in terms of their relationship skills. This characteristic is seen as very important as it is the teachers who are in the front lines of education. They are the ones who can directly connect and inspire diverse learners. By having relational skills, teachers understood the impact of their own racial identity on their learners, and they developed the knowledge, the skills, and mindsets that they needed to offer educational equity in the classroom. Now, this is actually aligned with SATU in 2017. Additionally, teachers most highly perceive themselves as competent in terms of decision making and taking responsibility of their own action in the aspect of self management. The characteristics of the teachers in terms of their understanding and responses to 21st century academic situations, the data revealed that the teachers most perceive their responses in the situation when the school's overall performance is failing. This means that the teachers affirmed their roles in helping the school towards improving its performance. This is validated by Hayder and Cargam in 2012, who pointed out that conflicts were minimized in the school because the teachers were more cooperative as they reviewed the weak areas and welcome tutoring and coaching instead. The data further revealed that gender diversity in the classroom is a reality. They treated every learner fairly and sincerely. And as they saw multicultural diversity as a challenge, they believe that this is a good opportunity for them to improve on their teaching competence. The data revealed that the null hypothesis of no significant relationship was rejected. This means that the 21st century academic situations and the teachers' characteristics were associated with each other. This result is supported by Goblinski in 2014, who pointed out that the teacher's interaction with the learning environment was one of the many facets of effective teaching, and that it is within this interaction in the environment that the personality of the teacher might have greatly contributed to the purposeful designing of the classroom. This would further imply that teachers design their classroom environment based on their personal perceptions and their responses to the types of learners they had. From the findings, it may be concluded that the 21st century secondary teachers were greatly aware of their image and of where they see themselves in the 21st century academic situations. It may also be concluded that 21st century teaching is evidently driven by resourcefulness and teachers who can adapt to and cope with the constantly changing landscape of education. Clearly, teachers should undergo the innovative development program to further upgrade their classroom management and teaching strategies and to perform further self assessment so they may create the best image of themselves. It may also be recommended that school administrators must provide equal opportunities for all 21st century teachers to grow personally and professionally and seek to look further into the aspects of the school system which are not already viable in these times or are not fairly enjoyed by all teachers. The study also recommends that policy and curriculum designers may use the findings of this study as one of the references in enhancing educational policies and programs that are already in place. These were the primary references of the study. This study is very insightful and significant to me. It was through this study that I was able to gain a better understanding of the current educational landscape in the Philippines. And it was also through this study that I was able to form better perspectives as to where I want to see myself in the future. Truly, it is an honor and a privilege to be one of the presenters in this conference. To the Philippine Association for Graduate Education Region 10, I am humbly grateful for this opportunity. To everyone present in this virtual conference, thank you very much for taking your time listening to my presentation. God bless.